you ready?
Oh, we're already started.
So just a few things I've noticed from events in the past that we just kind of want to, make sure we're doing better in the future. Backdrop safety rail storage. So those are like the big black ones that go on the back of the head table. With those, just make sure we're putting them kind of even amounts on both sides. Lately, they've had like 2 on one side and then like 8 on the other side. So just to make sure it's easier to move, let's try and put an even amount on both sides. Just makes it easier to keep that back room clean. Skirting, let's just make sure everything that's clean is getting hung up. Whatever is dirty, make sure there's no clips on them when they go to the black bin to go to the wash. Holiday Inn doesn't check them, they just throw them in there, and the clips with the Velcro will ruin the bottom of the skirting. So just make sure when you're throwing them in there that you're taking all those off. Banquet managers, if there's a quinceañera and they're throwing the skirting in there themselves, you might need to go through and just check it quickly, or let us know if you didn't check it so that we can go through on Monday before we bring it to make sure that there's none in there. Dirty linen storage. I know we have not been getting quite as many plastic bags from the company, so if you're running short, that's not your problem, but make sure we're bagging all of our dirty linens and then putting them in the linen carts. There's been a couple times where I've come in and they just pile on the back, which is fine at first, but make sure before you guys leave at the end of the night that all those are bagged and put in the linen storage. When we're putting the dance floor away, make sure that we're bruising it first. It should always get cleaned before it gets put on the cart. If it's really, really gross, grab a mop with some water, but make sure you wring that mop out really, really good. You don't want it super wet, and then dry it before it gets put away. It is a real hardwood floor, so if it's put away wet, it will warp. And that's why we want to make sure it's clean. So if somebody spills a drink and there's a big puddle and then we put it away wet, it's going to ruin the dance floor. So just make sure we're either mopping it or bruising it first. If you have questions about what to do, check with your banquet manager and they can let you know what would probably be the preferred method. If it's a heavy drinking wedding and it's really gross, just go ahead and mop it, and then we can bruise it when we get it back out. But we want to make sure it's nice and clean and dry when we put it away. Something that we're going to be implementing going forward is table lights, the ones that clip onto the tables and are going under the skirting. We're going to slowly phase those out. So what we have is all we're going to get. So with that being said, going through setup, look at what you have first. Start with the important tables first. So start with your head table, get all those lights strung up first. Then maybe like your dessert tables, gift and card tables, and just kind of pick what seems more important and do those first. Once you're out, do the rest without. We'll let our brides know that, but we're just going to start getting rid of those. We're spending way too much money ordering more every year because I feel like they're just not being made as quality as they used to be. So what we have is all we're going to get. So make sure that you just kind of do your important tables first when setting up. If there's any that have like sections burnt out or they're starting to unravel, throw them away. We don't need to see them. I don't need to know that they're getting thrown away. Once they're gone, or there's only a couple strands left, just let your banquet manager know so they can write us a note, and then we can just make sure everybody knows that we're done with table lights. So checking bathrooms throughout the night. You guys have been good about doing like the cleanliness and like making sure like the counter's clean and there's not toilet paper all over the floor, and checking the soap and the paper towels, but make sure we're also checking the toilet paper in each stall as well. If there's a time you go in there and like 4 stalls are busy, try and check back pretty quickly after that to make sure that those are staying full. We just want to make sure that people aren't having to come to the bar, track down the banquet manager to try and get more paper products. And banquet managers, maybe just try and remind them a couple more times throughout the night to make sure that's getting done. You guys will notice, and some of you probably already worked events with this, we are getting aluminum bottles and Busch Light cans in instead of glass bottles. We cannot get glass bottles in a lot of stuff right now, so they're swapping out with the aluminum bottles. They will get sorted the same as the glass, but you'll keep glass and aluminum separate. Aluminum Busch Light cans can just go in the can recycling with those 3 blue tubs on the wall. But keep the original boxes. They can get mixed between brands. So like Busch Light, Bud Light, Budweiser can get put together, but Coors Light cannot go with Bud Light and Busch Light. So you're gonna sort the same as you did before. Just do aluminum separate from glass. And we'll probably start to see more aluminum from more of the companies as the season goes on. So, something else with linens to watch for is linens that aren't ours. We'll try to be better about noting which tables don't have linens that are ours. But if you ever see a linen that's not black or white, just watch for like ivory linens as well. Or if it's not rectangular or square. If it's ever a round linen, it's not ours, and if it's ever a colored linen, it's not ours. So just set those separately somewhere else, but we'll try to be better about noting that somewhere too. Because once they get picked up on Tuesday, they're gone and we can't get them back. So then we have to pay for those. So yeah, just make sure those are getting sorted out properly. Also with the dance floor, the Bruce mop heads, so we have 5 of those blue Velcro ones that go on. There are other ones back there that kind of have like the thicker brush on the side and then they're white on the other side. Those aren't for the dance floor, so don't use those. They're the lighter blue ones. And then making sure you're rinsing those out after you Bruce the dance floor. Just run them with hot water. You can rub them against itself and then drape it over the side of the sink. Don't lay it in the bottom of the sink. I had one that was like that the other day and it was getting moldy. So just make sure you rinse them out and drape them over the side so that they can dry properly. And then I do wash those periodically to make sure they get nice and clean. So we're having a lot of times where you guys are flipping after we leave for the day and you guys are here after we leave. So just a couple things with that. The only lights that you need to shut off in the whole facility are going to be in the event hall. Meeting room, office, kitchen, corridor, everywhere else is automatic, so you can just leave them on. That way, if our delivery guys come or something like that, they're not having to search for a light switch. So the only lights you'll ever have to shut off are with the buttons in the actual event hall. The rest of them can all stay on. So that's office, everywhere else. And then also with that, if you're the last to leave, this isn't technically your guys' fault. Our door is just getting worse. When you're leaving the office, if you're the last one to leave, we usually push the button to lock it, but make sure you're really pulling on that door to shut it. It's not latching all the way, and there's been a couple mornings where we come in and it's just open. We can just push it open. So yeah, just make sure you're really pulling that shut when you leave. That's kind of all I had. You guys all kind of grabbed a piece of paper. If you want to take a few minutes, think of any questions that you might have that we didn't touch on, and then we'll hand those in and I'll go over those. So if you want to take a couple minutes and just think of any questions you might have, and then we'll go over those. So you can pause.